Cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
FF episode 993. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleyville. Today, it's the return of the much-loved feature, the MIKELOPEDIA Insanica. We'll look at some interesting things that you did not know, and then you will know it, and you'll go, thanks, Mike, I didn't know, and Christmas was so boring until you told me these things. Thank you. Mike's Daily Podcast. Plus, we'll hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster, to Mike's Daily Podcast. Well, my Christmas Eve show had a couple mistakes. One of them was about a show that takes place in an imaginary warehouse that has stuff that you can say are unbelievable because they make the impossible possible. Mike's Daily Podcast. Now, it's off the air, but I have watched every episode. I'm a fossil. Mike's. Well, kinda. Daily. I've seen a lot of Christmases. Podcast. And so now here on Christmas, I think about the past ones. Oh, by the way, that show is called Warehouse 13, not Hangar 13. I called it Hangar 13. You know how you do things sometimes, like you're saying stuff and you're thinking you're saying it right, but you're not? I guess I do that a lot. And I did that it's weird what the gray matter does.
I can't believe, what the hell is this place anyway?
So Merry Christmas. Everybody's having fun. Look to the future now. We've got them all to run. That Slade, whatever that Slade song is. I think about, well, the one year I spent Christmas in Gulf Shores in Alabama. And that's that area, you go all the way down to the bottom of Alabama. You can't go any further, and there's the Gulf. And it's beautiful. It was a beach area. My mom came up from Florida. We met. It was wonderful. I bought a tree because we needed a tree. And it was the night, it was Christmas Eve. And Target had a sale because everything was like, well, if you don't have it now, you're not going to buy it now. Oh, wait, Mike just came along. He's going to buy it now. And I bought this little Christmas tree, and that's the little Christmas tree that I put up every year. Look who just walked in! Right now. Hi, Mike. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. How y'all doing?
And to Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
You're really excited to see us now.
I am. It's great, because now it feels more like a Christmas show on Christmas. And you've got your cowboy hat on.
I always have my cowboy hat on.
Yeah, but it feels more Christmassy for some reason. And Benita's got her cowboy hat on. Oh, there, Mom! Right. I know, you guys always have your cowboy hats on. I got it. But it feels so Christmassy because you guys are here.
You're right. We're here. And it's clear. Like a midnight clear. And it came upon one of those. That song's great. Makes me cry. Why isn't anybody saying anything? I feel the need to keep talking because this is a podcast. I mean, if I stop talking, then there's going to be silence, and then it'll be a silent night. A holy night. All is calm. All is right.
Mark, say something, please. Well, what was it? Oh, I think about past Christmases on Christmas Day. I think about how last Christmas I gave you my heart, and the very next day, I think about how last Christmas I was coming home from work, and look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mac. I make the root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy.
Brewmaster, are you making an eggnog root beer like you made last year?
Sure, Mac. Why not? Let's just do the same thing over and over and over again. Never change.
What a wonderful idea. It'll be like Groundhog's Day. That's a great idea.
Thanks, Mac.
Don't mention it.
I'll cut you.
Oh, no. There's supposed to be a sound effect there of scary soap opera punch, but we don't have it. It's gone forever. It got thrown out with all the gift wrapping paper. All that gift wrapping paper just totally gonna go to the landfill because nobody wants to recycle anymore. What? We're all recycling now? Oh, that's good. What? The stuff we recycle doesn't go to the recycle factory, it goes to the landfill instead? Shut up. At any rate, I think about past Christmases. I can go all the way back in time to when I was a kid. There it is! I thought we lost it. I thought I got thrown out.
I did too, Mike. I thought I got thrown in the trash.
Mike, I thought it was going to be recycled. Turned into something else. Like maybe a penguin. But it didn't. It's right there. Now I'm the only one talking. Somebody say something. I'm Benita the rodeo queen. How y'all doing? All right, I'll say something. And so my parents, when I was a kid, my grandma came over. And she's like, Mike, we have to go outside because Santa's coming right now. We opened our presents on Christmas Eve. So I go, okay, Grandma, and we'd walk down the street a little bit, and I'd keep wanting to turn my head. She's like, don't turn your head. Santa doesn't like to be seen when he's landing on the roof bringing in the presents. And so we got down the street, and then we came back, and sure enough, the presents were there, and I'm like, wow, Santa showed up. Dropped off all the presents, went through the chimney and everything. Oh, wait, we didn't have a chimney. I was very concerned about that at the time. I brought it up. We don't have a chimney. My grandma reassured me. We had some kind of like a heater vent thing. That Santa can fit through that. That'll work the same. Anyway, so Warehouse 13 is not the same as Hangar 13, and the guy that I thought was the villain from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I believe that character, the high priest's name was like Malo or something. He took the heart out of that other guy. No, I was wrong there. That's not the same actor, and that actor, in fact, actually passed away in 2005. It's somebody else who I noticed in Warehouse 13. Okay, now that we cleared that all up, I feel so much better. Something to listen to if you can find it, and you feel like torturing yourself. Since Star Wars is the biggest movie of all time now, has broken all these records, it's still huge right now. You might even be going to see it this evening. What might be fun is to go back and listen to, there was a Star Wars Christmas album. What do you get a Wookiee for Christmas when he already owns a comb is one of the songs. I'm not making this up. You can find it. They're readily available on YouTube and other fine places to find these things. I was listening to the horrible songs. Oh, you should watch the whole Star Wars Christmas special. That was it is so surreal to watch. And I remember watching it as a kid and going, what is going on? What are they doing? I hear, anyway, Wikipedia says lots of drugs were taken, which explains it all. Tonight, here on this Christmas Day night, we're going to have a full moon. We had a beautiful full moon last night. It was clear in the Bay Area. You could see the moon. I got up this morning at 6 and could still see it. It was just over the western sky, about to go down and disappear, and it looked beautiful. Tonight, the moon will be even bigger and fuller. So go see that if you're listening to that. Today, if you are hearing this later on, like weeks, months, days, years later, I hope you got to see it. Because the next one won't be happening. The next full moon won't be happening on Christmas until 2034. At that point, we'll be saying 2034 and finally dropping the 2000. Because it's just a waste of syllables. We should just be saying 20. I don't understand. The last full moon was 38 years ago. So, wow. I was in the single digits back then. What do you get a Wookiee when he already owns a comb? Remember those past Christmases, I guess is what I'm saying. And remember those, I didn't, that's what I forgot to do. Well, yesterday, on the last show, on the Christmas Eve show, I was doing the last of the 2015 Nifty radio segments. And I had on Michael Shaw, one of his songs, and I had on the band, the Orange Peels. I could not find the things they recorded for me that promoted the show. And they're quick little things, and I like doing that because every artist does something original and unique and different. So
Into an interview.
because that's the show I do it on, is Into an Interview. That's the segment I do it on when I interview them. So I didn't get to play Michael Shaw's and the Orange Peels on the last show because Google Drive would not open for me. Google was being very just a precocious little child. Not doing anything I told you, just telling me whatever I was searching for, but not letting get me into the drive. I got so angry, Mike, sounds like you got really flustered. I did. I spent hours trying to get into my drive. It let me in today, of course, but not on the last show.
Mark, I think I would take my gun and shoot Google if that happened.
No, that's no reason to resort to that. Anyway, here are those artist liners now from those two.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Shaw from An Intimate Evening with Michael Shaw. You're currently listening to Mike's daily podcast featuring the one and only Mike Matthews.
Hi, this is Alan Clapp from the Orange Peels, and you're listening to Mike's Daily Podcast with Mike Matthews.
Wasn't that wonderful? Yeah. Okay, on to the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, a book full of fascinating facts that you did not know. And we're going to look at some fascinating things. But first, just remember that you can always read my blog, check out the daily podcast picture, and what's the other thing? You can listen to past interviews that I've done. Oh, all kinds of other things there at mikesdailypodcast.com. You can comment on stuff. There are places to where you can comment. There, where we are on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, all those places. You can find that at mikesdailypodcast.com. And if you do email me, the email is there, as well as the other places to comment. We read your comments on the section Emails from Email and your comment, not so comments. If you want to help out the show, there's a link to Amazon, where you can buy whatever it is you were going to buy on Amazon anyways. Maybe you got an Amazon gift card this year and you're going to use it. Go through my website first, because that helps me out when you do that. I don't know. I can't explain why. It just happens. And then there's also a link to if you want to help us out through PayPal. We do have a PayPal account if you want to help us out and become an Inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster and have a special thing sent to you from all of the Cafe Anyway characters. You can find that as well at mikesdailypodcast.com. Okay, now on with this segment.
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
But I know about one thing I got to do. Ramble on. Now the time is now. Sing my song.
A little Led Zeppelin there, a little bit of rambling. Ramble on. Because that's what newspapers do sometimes. They ramble on. Newspapers were once the dominant force in dislodging documents and other records from reluctant federal government agencies. But a new crop of media players, advocacy groups, and corporate interests now drive the release of information. The Freedom of Information Act of 1966 was envisioned as a tool for traditional media to seek documents, data, and information they deemed important to the public's interest. It also was meant to allow ordinary Americans to seek information about the federal government and from the federal government about themselves. Nearly a half a century later, news organizations continue to pepper federal agencies with written and electronic requests for records and other information under FOIA. A review of agency logs shows, though they are cash-strapped and less likely to press their claims in court, according to USA Today. Over the past decade, there's been a surge of requests from bloggers, advocacy groups, corporate lawyers, researchers, and even foreign nationals tapping the promise of open records. This changing landscape means information obtained under FOIA may reach the public in a raw, less contextual form, or it may reach the public through a particular political prism, or it may not reach the public at all, remaining in the hands of the private interests that sought it out. Government offices say they are overwhelmed with requests. We're pushing 750,000 annually, says Fred J. Sadler, who retired after 4 decades in FOIA operations at the Food and Drug Administration. You just don't have enough resources, he says. A review of thousands of federal court records conducted by Syracuse University's Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse found that media organizations filed fewer lawsuits challenging federal government secrecy than in past years. The study, which compared the last 4 years of the George W. administration with the first term of the Obama administration, found news organization lawsuits dropped from 22 to 18. This stood out against the total number of FOIA suits brought by all plaintiffs, which was higher during the first Obama term than the last years of Bush's tenure. In a separate examination published late last year, Syracuse researchers found that more FOIA lawsuits, 422 in fact, were filed against the federal government in fiscal year 2014 than in any year since 2001. Getting our hands on the information. Need that information. Like this information I just gave you. Was it too dry? Was it not fascinating enough for you? It just shows you what the newspapers are doing as they ramble on. But now, a song by Radiohead that you have not heard yet. Bond fans weren't universally approving of Sam Smith's Spectre theme song, although it did reach the top of the Billboard charts, with many feeling the dramatic ballad wasn't up to the standard set by previous songs by the likes of Adele and Paul McCartney. Even though really that Adele song did not get to the top of the American charts, nor did the Sam Smith song, Paul McCartney's Live and Let Die, though, did very well. So much so that, in fact, Guns N' Roses covered it. So Radiohead frontman Thomas York gave fans a special Christmas present today when he posted the song Spectre, which we heard a little bit of at the beginning of this little segment. It was originally commissioned for the film, and he said, last year we were asked to write a theme tune for the Bond movie Spectre. Yes, we were. It didn't work out, but it became something of our own, which we love very much, he wrote. As the year closes, we thought you might like to hear it. Merry Christmas. May the force be with you, he said. I believe this is on Twitter. The air in Cafe Anyway is making me cough. So there you go. As we go outside of Cafe Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And the podcast picture is from Daytona Beach. I spoke to my mom a little while ago. I also spoke to her yesterday. She had a great night last night, entertaining her boyfriend. She cooked last night. She never cooks. So it was like one of the first times she cooked this year, and probably the only time she'll cook this year. And they had a great time. Oh, I do indeed need some of your root beer, your eggnog root beer, Brewmaster.
There's some here outside.
Oh, that's particularly horrible, but it helps my throat. Thank you.
Don't mention it. I'll cut you.
You know, what I was saying was that I went to see my mom. One of the Christmases I remember, another Christmas that involved my mom and my ex-wife, we flew to Florida. We didn't drive from California to Florida. That would take a little while. But we flew, and we spent time with her. We even went to Epcot. And as we landed at the Daytona Beach airport, and I was walking out, we had, seen my mom, and we were walking out with her to her car. I see a Christmas tree, and I noticed the Christmas tree is made completely out of poinsettia plants. Don't eat a poinsettia plant, you'll die. Anyway, but they're very beautiful. Those red plants you see everywhere, Cafe Anyway. And there's a poinsettia plant tree. And I put that picture there. That's today's podcast picture from a fantastic trip. And, the interesting thing about that trip was when we flew back, we lived in Southern California at the time, that meant we had to land at LAX, drive up to Ventura, where we lived, and then the next day we were driving up to the Bay Area, which is like at least a 6-hour drive. More like a 7-hour drive. And we were so tired, and we got in the car and drove up to the Bay Area, that's where I am now. So I don't have to drive here, I am here now. But yay for that. Anyway, Cafe Anyway, that's a picture from that trip years ago. One of the many Christmases I remember. So what I'm saying to you is go and remember those Christmases. And remember the good times, but yet make good memories with your loved ones and your family today. And maybe you'll remember these memories later on. And I think we put a cork in this Christmas. What do you say?
Yeah, Mike, I think that's a good idea. Put a cork in it. What's that mean?
It's like a fine bottle, and we're putting a cork on it. Putting it away for another year.
Mike, I think that'll go bad by next year. If you don't drink it all now, it's just going to go bad.
It was just a bad metaphor. Algorithm, aneurysm, agnorism, a synonym, something. Those English classes were so long, though. Next show is going to be the return of the much-loved segment, Mike's Cassette Cubbyhole, where we'll hear another interesting interview I did for my past, which I saved onto cassette for all of posterity. An interesting interview with a celebrity. We'll also hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Did I mention I like your cowboy hats?
Yeah, you did.
Mike, I still don't know what you get a Wookiee for Christmas when he's already got a comb.
Yeah. We'll never answer that one. That's a tough question, that.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!